For Laura's mother, they came too late. She died before Laura's bones could be identified.
Candace Piet reporting there from Buenos Aires.
You're listening to The World Today from the BBC World Service. Time for the sport. The football authorities in Benin have decided that their team's performance at the recent Africa Cup of Nations was just not good enough, and they've taken some pretty drastic action. Our sports reporter Chris Whyatt has more. Chris, tell us.
Well, Lawrence, not a great time to be a squirrel, as all those associated with Benin's football team are known. The nation's footballing decision-makers have dismissed not only the manager and his coaching staff, they've also sacked all the players who represented them at the Cup of Nations in Angola. No shame, though, I'd say, in finishing third in Group C. They lost to two of the giants of African football, the eventual champions, Egypt, and Nigeria, their West African neighbours. Unlike other nations, Egypt and Nigeria, also Ivory Coast, Togo, Ghana, Benin have got no real stars. It's only a small country, 8 million people. And perhaps it's their FIFA World Ranking of 67, which has created an unreal air of expectation. They're 20 places ahead of sides such as Korea and South Africa, who will both play in the World Cup in South Africa later this year. Let's get an explanation on what the Benin why they took this action from the president, Mutrafu Anjoran.
Just before CAN commenced, a number of things happened. We had very indisciplined players that were totally disrespectful of the football authorities. They were driven more by the greed for money than respect for the authorities that run the game. The players failed to keep up to their commitments in the build-up to the tournament. Several players even failed to show up at a reception held in their honor at the president's office before the tournament began. This was a scandal. This is a disciplinary issue, not a technical issue. It is not for the president to control the players, and this is where you see the failing of the coach. He was unable to maintain discipline and a sense of purpose among his players. This was tantamount to the situation that we ended up with. And this to us displayed the inability of the Football Federation to run the affairs of the game in the country, and that is why we gave them the red card. But what I can tell you is that by June, we will have appointed a caretaking coach, well-versed in running football affairs, to prepare us for CAN 2012 in Gabon and Equatorial Guinea.
In discipline, the cause for a completely new era for Benin's football team. But how are they going to set about finding another 20-plus players with international calibre? Well, it should be some task, Lawrence. If you're from Benin and can kick a ball, perhaps you should get in touch.
Actually, I quite fancy being the squirrel mascot, but presumably he's got sacked as well. Right, leaving football, a warning, I gather, also for Russia's athletes and authorities.
Yeah, we're just 4 days away from the start of the 2010 Winter Olympic Games in Vancouver, so there's some interesting lines coming out of Canada. The IOC chief, Jack Rogger, he's so concerned about the slew of positive doping tests among Russian biathletes and cross-country skiers that he's had to meet with the country's president, Dmitry Medvedev, and he's been demanding stronger action. It's not known when the meeting took place, but I'm sure they talked about the fact that the next Winter Olympic Games in 2014 is being held in the Russian city of Sochi.
And more generally, how are the Vancouver Games shaping up?
Well, much is being made about a lack of snow in some of the venues, and trucks and helicopters were still dumping snow onto one of the mountains in an effort to get everything ready early on today. Rogger says global warming is a concern for the Winter Olympics movement going forward, but I don't think we'll see anyone snowing on grass in the next few weeks.
Chris Whyatt, many thanks indeed. He'll keep us posted with the sport. A quick look at the main stories here on The World Today. Michael Jackson's doctor has been charged with involuntary manslaughter. He was released on bail after pleading